Welcome to the Spiritual Awakening with Shaz podcast, where we unlock the power within and navigate the journey of your self-discovery together. I'm Shaz, your spiritual mentor and life coach, here to help you tap into your inner guidance system and manifest your best life. Whether you're just beginning your spiritual journey or looking to deepen your practice, this podcast offers insights, techniques, and inspiration to elevate your consciousness and transform your reality. Get ready to shine your light and embrace your true potential. Remember, the answers are inside you. Let me be your guide on earth. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Spiritual Awakening podcast with Shaz. Today, I want to walk you through some of my journey and how at the very beginning, when I was unsure of what I wanted to do with my spiritual life and wanting to connect with like-minded people, I found the spiritual church community. In Australia, where I'm located in Sydney, and especially Western Sydney, there are a lot of different amazing spiritual churches out there. And I was very blessed and honored to be taken to a fair few of them. And from that journey, I encountered so many amazing, wonderful friends and some powerful mentors. Now, today, anyone going through this awakening journey and they're not sure where to go, I always still recommend to go along to spiritual gatherings, spiritual churches, or the community-like aspects where you can connect with like-minded people going through the same journey who are there to support you, whether through grief, change of life, or just a generalized spiritual awakening. But it is a beautiful, powerful place for you to find. Part of the reason for that is we are searching for meaning and answers in life. A lot of people find this journey through asking the simple question is, what is life all about? Now, I want you to consider this question for me, okay? What if we could follow a simple set of principles that would only guide your own spiritual growth, but also create a kinder and more compassionate world? And through spiritualism, the 7 principles of spiritualism were amazing aspects that taught me so much about life and this journey. You don't realize that they exist. We all heard of the 10 Commandments from the Bible. And if you've been through the church system like I have massive problems with hypocrisy and saying one thing and doing another. Now, these commandments were all fancy rules of all the right things to do and all the wrong things to do. And then they'd walk outside the church doors and show up as a totally different person than they were after they've asked for forgiveness or absolution from their sins. I personally found that an affront, and I did not like the energy surrounding it. Why preach something if you can't follow through? But these principles of spiritualism, they connect to your heart and soul, and this allows you to follow them in daily practice. So I'm going to share with you the 7 principles, as well as another aspect that I really find compelling and commanding, and they're the 10 commandments, for want of a better word, from the Indian prophets and so forth, or it's called the 10 Indian Commandments from Native American Indians, and they're just rules to live by to live a good life. We all do require some rules, guidance, or ways of being, and hopefully today's episode is going to help you understand them a bit more. When I first went to spiritual church, I really felt welcomed at many of them, but I also struggled with the lifestyle that I'd learned to live with through the church system, and I found some of the similar aspects of that. Okay, you're going to have personalities everywhere, and not everyone's going to fit in with you each way that it does. But the more you grow within the community and the more you connect with the reverends who run these establishments and the true people that do classes and teach you and heal you and want you to become even more, you realize these principles are really something to live by. The first principle is the brotherhood of God. Now, depending on your stature, brotherhood, motherhood of God, it's the yin yang, it's the availability. It is the source creator, the universal guidance, the overwhelming aspect that we live by, right? It doesn't matter what religion or what spiritual pathway you're on, there is some form of godlike energy, an entity that we worship, pray, or ask for things from. Now, this is just talking about that universal divine presence that is overarching everything in our world. We call it God. Whether you refer to God as a he or a she, it doesn't matter. But the God presence in itself is our source energy. And for me, it lies within the center of our heart space, for each of our souls are connected right back to that source God energy. God is within us. It's not an external presence. It's an internal presence. And the reason why we have so much trouble in this world, from my perspective and belief, is because we become disconnected from God. Go and look at anyone who commits really bad crimes or has a massive change of life, and you'll find they all find God in some essence. They all find that source connection energy back to self. So many people see it as an external representation. I personally receive it as an internal representation. That essence of self that's connected to something much greater than the 3D reality that we live in. The second principle is the brotherhood of man. Brotherhood, sisterhood, however you want to call it, it is about the connection of humanity. I believe absolutely in 6 degrees of separation. Every single person on this planet is separated by 6 people. All you have to do is connect them. How many people do you know that you don't know, that you do know, that someone's connected to someone that you do know? And that's simply what the brotherhood of man for me is. It is connection and equality among all the people. We are all connected everywhere, in every way, in every shape, in every form. We all suffer the same trials and tribulations. It's just the way we deal with them that are differently. Nobody is spared anything. Nobody is better than anybody. There is no stature in this world. Whether you're a king or a queen or a poorly peasant, it doesn't matter. We are still connected. We are still all human beings. The third principle is the communion of spirits and the ministry of angels. This just tells us that there are angels out there supporting us and our loved ones as they continue beyond this planet and leave the plane of the 3D earth existence that we live on, continue to live on in their soul essence. And it's about guidance, acceptance, and information beyond the physical reality. We all have angels. We all have connections to greater spirits outside of ourselves. There's God, there's Jesus, there's Mother Mary, there's all the saints, all the prophets, all the archangels, all the angels and family members. They all live on and offer us guidance, whether through meditation, through signs, through symbols, through all the different clairs. They find a way to communicate with us. Some are more powerful in communicating with us than others, but they will always find a way. Number 4 is the continuous existence. It says of the human soul. I like to talk about it of the soul, because even though we are humans in this lifetime, I do not restrict our lives to only ever living human existences. Depending on how far you want to go down the spiritual rabbit hole, I do believe we actually start back as very minute atoms or amoebas and things like that, and we progress through. We go through multitudes of different lives, animal, physical, spiritual, mental. Sometimes we come back as trees and things like that. We do have different progressions of how our soul exists, but it is about the continuous existence of that soul. When the human body dies or the living organism that we're in dies, our soul does not die with it. It is omnipresent and omnipotent, and it always renews itself. We call that reincarnation in spiritual terms or in earthly terms, however you want to describe it for yourself. But the soul does live on, and we prove that through mediumship and connecting with souls on the heavenly plane and gathering communication, channeled information from those people, those energies and entities that share themselves with us quite freely if you choose to go down that pathway. Number 5 is probably my most powerful and favorite principle, and that is of personal responsibility. Everything that happens in your life is something that you choose. You are responsible for everything in your life. As you open up spiritually and become more and more awake, you start to realize, yes, all the bad things that happen, you chose to go through them in order to learn. School is the 3D school of life, right? Being a human being, we are here to learn. We are here to go through horrible things. It's all about duality, the yin yang presence, and we want to go through bad things to understand how it feels, and we want to go through good things to understand how that feels. It's all about the experience of what it is. We choose that pathway, whether you want to accept it or not. Eventually, you will come to terms with that understanding. And it is up to you how you work your way through it. We don't become victims. We take responsibility for our actions. We take responsibility for our creation. We are the master creator of our life, our universe. If you don't like what something is like in your life, choose better thoughts, choose better feelings, choose better focus. Change the behaviors that you have, change the identity of who you are. That is how we masterfully create the world around us. Yes, people do things to us that we don't necessarily like, and you'll go, I never asked for that. Before you were incarnated, you asked to experience that, and another soul volunteered and said, I will be that soul to do that for you. Please don't hold it against me. We forget, and then we blame them, shame them, have guilt, have horrible thoughts and feelings about them. And yes, as bad as it sounds, that is for all things, all the terrible things that people do to us, including harming us physically, mentally, spiritually, traumatic things that happen to us. We wanted to learn how it felt. Mostly it feels like shit. But the personal responsibility aspect is that you really survive everything that you've ever been through. Therefore, there is no harm, no foul. That soul only offered to show you the lesson so that you can learn to grow and evolve your soul in the scale and learning of life. For the 3D earth plane is all about soul's evolution. This is where it's time you own your thoughts. If you want to change your reality, you own your thoughts. You change your thoughts. You choose what you think. You choose what you feel, and you absolutely choose how you act and how you respond to life and how you alter life. This 3D plane is quite like alchemy. We get to change it through vibrational action, through the way we show up, through the energy and frequency that we vibrate at. Principle 6 is called compensation and retribution hereafter for all good and evil deeds done on earth. This is basically spiritual cause and effect, or as you like to call it, karma. We create our own karma. If you think about it, personal responsibility, all the bad things that happen to you, that is compensation and retribution for what you've done before or after. In order to experience the bad side of something, to be on the receiving end of it, somewhere along the lines you were on the perpetrator side or the giving end of it. We don't like to think that, we don't like to know that, and we certainly don't like to own it, but it is factual. And if you go back and do a lot of past life regressions and understanding of the soul's progression throughout the eternal progress of that soul, you will start to realize how that duality, that yin yang, that experience has shown up for you in many, many lives, in many, many ways. It is hard to comprehend, especially at the beginning, but you do come to understand it, and you do realize that if this happened to you, you wanted to feel it because somewhere along the line you did it to someone else. And that feeling of the opposite side gives you greater perspective, and that is evolution of the way that we create, show up, and become in this world. What if the lesson is only not to re-perpetrate the same thing that's happened to you to someone else? What if that is the growth lesson? Sometimes we don't get it straight away, especially not when you're in it and when you're stuck in that victim mode or deep in the trauma. And I don't dismiss anybody's trauma because it is horrid, but you have already overcome it, and that greater understanding of the spiritual growth and awareness of the soul will help you relieve some of that pain. And Principle 7 is eternal progress open to every human soul. And this is about growth that never ends. We grow, we evolve, we progress. Just because you're going through a hard life this time doesn't mean that you're going through, can mean that you go through a better life next time. We like to look at people or souls that have come to this earth with great disability, those people that have to have other people take care of them in all ways, where they literally can't do anything for themselves. Those are massive soul evolutionary lives. They are great teachers. They are great people that have to learn. Having to learn and deal with the way people treat you based on the way you look or what your disability or problem in life is something evolutionary for the soul. Many people choose it on purpose. I love to listen to Dolores Cannon, and I mentioned her previous episodes, and a recent video I was watching turned around and said there are so many souls lined up to come into these disabled bodies and these disabled lives to have that greater experience of that soul's evolution. It's a choice. We can't see it for self because we forget. The greatest thing about this journey is to remember our greatness, remember our completion of our soul's aspect, and to remember the true life lessons of what we're here for. So those are the basic 7 principles of the spiritualism community. That sometimes it's called a church, but they're changing the name of that for gathering simply because of the religious aspect and church experience. But it's about spiritualism. And yes, they help you define yourself. If you ever struggle in life, go and write and journal about these 7 principles and see what your own version in your own life comes up with of how you accept them or deny them. How do you perceive each principle? How do you work with it within your daily lifestyle? How can you encompass it in your everyday living? For that's all they are, guidelines. Little things that can help you show up. Okay? There is cause and effect. Everything you do to another person is going to return to you in one way or another. So be kind, be loving, be compassionate, and you'll get it back tenfold. The same as if you do nasty things, it will come back to you because you will want to create balance and duality. And that's what all this learning is about. The depth and the highs and lows of feeling and emoting. Because without that, we go back to the heavenly sphere where we have this knowledge and we remember all this greatness, but the feeling aspect no longer exists. It's just knowledge. And that's why we choose, let's go and incarnate and take on this journey this time. The second part that I want to go through are the 10 Indian commandments. Okay, these are practical heartland rules for living. Number 1 is treat the earth and all that dwell thereon with respect. This is how you treat the land, the creatures, the animals, the humans, everybody with respect. We are all living on the planet together. No one has more right to be here than anybody else. We are all equal in all forms. Water the garden, nurture the trees. Try not to kill the animals or cause harm to the nature. We do a lot of things to damage this earth. We need to give back and love it. When you get into the spiritual awakening aspect, you start to realize that the trees, the grass, the plants, the animals, the creatures, the insects, they are all powerful aspects that keep this world turning. And each and every single one of them has an important purpose in our life, regardless of how dangerous or predatory that animal, insect, or creature can be. The earth needs it in order to continue on. Their existence is just as important as ours. And when you awaken to that and you start treating everything with the respect that it deserves and the acknowledgement of that same equality, life changes for you. You nurture everything. You have compassion for all. You start to replace what you take. You replant new things. You build you build new gardens and reserves and new habitats. We take care of what we come across that becomes important to us. But just be kind and respectful of all things on earth, for they are all God's creatures and they are all back to source energy, and they are all individual souls with purpose and evolution on their mind. The second commandment is remain close to the Great Spirit. Now, this is just talking about remaining close to God, remaining close to that soul aspect of who you are. It is for when we are disconnected from source energy that our greatest pain occurs. Our higher selves and source energy has great accolades for us. It supports us. It loves us. It brings ultimate joy, unconditional love, and it has this amazing acceptance for all things. Judgment, criticism, guilt, shame, blame, all of those negative emotions only flow through us when we are disconnected from our source energy, for we lack forgiveness for what we've done previously, for our actions that we have partaken. Forgiveness is a massive key for this. The commandment number 3 is show great respect to your fellow beings. Treat others as you want to be treated. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. We are all equal, everyone. There is no greater race, no greater. We are all human. It doesn't matter whether, say, we're Australian, American, Asian, African, Middle Eastern, Chinese, Asian, whatever you want to call it. Race, religion, creed does not matter. We are all humans. We all come from the same place. Number 4 is work together for the benefit of mankind. This is about community, collection, collaboration, working together to make sure that we don't take too much of something, that we kill it off and make it die. We work together to build up and sustain community. Human beings are not sentient beings. We cannot live alone. We do live in communities, whether we are isolated in some aspects in our mind, but we do have other people around us at all times. Be mindful of how we work together. Don't take and steal from another. Don't take over what is there. The universe is really abundant. There is more than enough for everybody, but also never take more than you truly need. Give assistance and kindness wherever needed. And that's just about showing up and helping your fellow man. If someone needs help, give that assistance. Be kind at all times, for you never know when you'll need that kindness back. We never know what people are going through. Don't judge them for whatever's happening in their life or what's happening in their surroundings, because you never know what it's like to walk in their shoes, because you are not them. You may understand it from a soul's perspective at many times in different lifetimes, but you cannot understand completely how their soul is transversing that information, processing it through their mind, through their journey, through their lessons. It is up to them to transverse and grow within themselves. This is why we are all uniquely different. Do what you know to be right. We definitely always know the difference between right and wrong, and always try to be right. Don't harm people. Don't go out and purposefully do damage to things. Follow things on the side of right. Be, as I said, kind, compassionate, nurturing, forgiving, understanding. Collaborate together. Come together. Build and uplift each other. It is so important in this world. Look after the well-being of your mind and body. This soul is incarnated in this body, and the well-being of both the mind in itself, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you process everything, and the physical well-being of the body. Take care of them. This vessel is important for you because it gives you life. If you don't take care of it, it will break down. If you don't clear your thoughts, you will create disease. If you don't eat well and exercise well and do the right things for your body, it will cause pain, problems, and it will break down. And it can't support you when it's not supported well. Dedicate a share of your efforts to the greater good. This is just talking about looking outside of yourself and doing things that are good for community and for humanity. Dedicate some of your efforts, and you don't have to do it 24 hours a day, but every now and then go and do things to the benefit of someone else besides yourself. It's about being selfless and understanding and caring and compassionate about the greater world outside of us. Be truthful and honest at all times. I love this one because simply when you are not being truthful and you are dishonest, the only real person that it hurts ultimately is yourself. Because you create shame, blame, guilt, and all the negative vibrations and the trauma responses within your body. Truth and honesty are important factors in dealing with other people, but especially dealing with yourself in the mirror. Once again, forgiveness is key. We can let go of things that have happened before, but be honest about it, own it, process it through, and release it, because you can't get to where you are without going through what you've been through. And the journey half the time is the most important factor bringing you out to where you want to be. And number 10 is take full responsibility for your actions. A lot like personal responsibility. Every action has a reaction, how you respond to things. Take full responsibility of what you're doing. Nobody can make you do anything that you don't want to. You have choice. We have free will on earth, and it is the greatest gift that we're given as souls when we incarnate down to here. And it is up to us what we do with it. A lot of these principles and the commandments overlap. They're very well aligned, and they just speak to me on a level that help guide my life. They are not strict rules like damnation that I feel under the 10 commandments in the religious society of you, like, thou shalt not kill. You can't kill somebody else. It's like damnation. But when we look at kill, we're looking at what can't we kill? People feel guilty for killing animals because we have to eat them. And there can be punishment on that depending on different religious aspects. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. That's about adultery. One of the reasons why I despise going to churches originally is you go and talk about that commandment, you walk outside and every man and woman is having an affair with somebody else. And it just didn't sit well with me. These principles, these commandments from the Indian perspective don't have those strict guidelines that turn around and say you can't do something, but if you come and repent, we'll let you go and just let you get away with it anyway. These help you live. They deepen your spiritual growth. They deepen your healing potential. They deepen your connection with your soul and your ultimate evolution. This is about the ascension pathway, the ultimate growth and progression of your soul. When you live throughout these principles, it improves your relationships with other people because you stop blaming them for everything that's going on and you take responsibility for what it is. And from that perspective and that understanding, you then can create change and you can alter the way things happen. It brings this beautiful sense of peace and purpose to you. It really allows you to be present, be mindful, and understand that we are living on an evolutionary earth that supports and maintains us for the lifetime of however long we are on the earth for this particular lifetime. Some are very long lives and some are very short. And sometimes we take those short lives as really bad things, but some people learn the lessons that they choose to learn in much shorter time for that evolutionary growth of the soul. And some take much longer. It's up to us. Those are the choices that we made. So if you haven't become aware of these principles and you want to learn more about them, journaling is one of my greatest understandings. It helps me get great clarity on it. You want to take note of what these guidelines, and they're just guidelines. They're not laws. They're not, you must follow this. They're principles and guidelines. They are just there for you to follow so that you know you're living somewhat aligned with the universal presence of God and the Almighty. It's up to you what you do with it. I journal through them because to understand your own perspective on them, because we all interpret words differently and we all have different progressions in life. You can have two people live in the same household, grow up in the same environment, and come out totally different at the other end. Nobody ever experiences everything the exact same way. Even when they're twins or multiple births, they will have different perspective based on their soul's evolutionary journey. It is up to us how we interpret that, how we grow with that, what are the lessons that we gain from that, and how do they become included in the life that we create moving forward. I'd love to hear your responses as to which principle or commandment you resonate the most with. I really do love talking about it. If you ever want a conversation, reach out, book a clarity call. Let's have a chit chat about the understanding of the principles, or if you're not sure where to go to find a spiritualist church, reach out and I can guide you to the plenty that are in Australia. But these churches exist all over the world. You are never alone on this journey. It is up to you how you reach out and connect and network with other people. And I'm here to support you on that, but it is up to you to make those moves. Nobody can force you into this. You have to take that step forward. There are many ways, many avenues, but please never forget that I'm always here and ready to listen. You know, you can contact me on Facebook, via email, or reach out via my website. Thank you again for listening, and until next time. Thanks for listening to the Spiritual Awakening with Shaz podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below so you don't miss an episode. You can also follow us on Facebook with the links below. Until next time, trust your intuition and let your spirit soar.